you care, but I don't. No, your words can't shake my bones. Though I'm stronger than you know. Your fire can't melt my soul. No, no.
Do a little chatting.
Yep.
Piss a few people off. A lot more than a few, probably. Everyone.
We're going to piss a lot of people off. But I think we're going to also make a lot of people happy because we're going to say what they
everybody's
want to
thinking,
say, what they're thinking. We're going to say the quiet part out loud.
If you don't find something to relate to, like, get out of here.
Get out.
Look right in the eyes. Get out.
Out.
I'm just kidding.
Bye.
In the shadows, I found my light. In the chaos, I found my fight.
Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Unfiltered and Unfazed. I'm your host, Tessa.
I'm Heather. Welcome back.
Welcome back.
All right. So for those of you, we're full send. Jump
yeah.
right in. For
We're
those
just
of
jumping
you
into the
that
deep
missed
end.
last episode and or haven't watched it yet, we're continuing. It's like part 2
Right.
of our stories, men's mental health awareness,
Yeah,
and that's the
and-
month of June.
And also Pride Month.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
like
Miss Bisexual over here.
Miss bi. Yeah, but I can only celebrate for half the month since
That's
I'm
true.
bisexual.
That's true.
I have to.
You're a halfie.
I'm a halfie. I'm a halfway. So halfway, like 7th to the 21st.
Got it.
I'm fully celebrating Pride. The rest of the days, I'm not taking up as much space. So
Okay.
that's
It's okay. We're all in one space, right?
Yes, exactly.
So basically we're going to start on like the rest of the story.
Yeah.
Like I said, for those of you that did not see it, we were talking about my experience with suicide. I lost a spouse to suicide. My youngest son, Logan's biological father, died by suicide.
Right.
And, as we said, it can be a trigger warning because we just go full send. He did do it in front of me and Logan.
Yeah.
So that's where the story is a little different than some.
Right.
And it was by gunshot wound to the head.
Yes. So
there
that's
you
just
go.
like a quick
You have it all.
recap.
Right.
Yeah.
Quick recap.
This is an extension of part 2.
Right.
From what we had already
Right.
talked about. So if you want the full story, obviously in detail, go watch our first video.
Yes. Yeah. And I don't even
Obviously.
think that's all details. It's
No.
We have to have like 12 episodes. It's too much. And
Yeah.
something like that's really heavy and a lot of layers. And I don't, like I said, I was just talking to one of Tyler's friends, another guy who's on the network. He has a podcast and does a lot of things too. A lot of great things. But he was saying how, some people share their story and like they put all the details in there with like the domestic violence.
Right.
And I said, I didn't.
Yeah.
I don't feel like it's necessary to the story.
No, I don't. I don't think that everyone deserves those gruesome details because there's
Right.
something that I like to call it's trauma porn.
Right.
And people literally get off
it up.
on your
Yes, they do.
on your suffering. And
Well,
so
And also, I don't see why. Like, I don't need to make him out to be a monster. I don't need to bash him. Like, I think some of the, and again, I'm not putting down people that share their story.
Right,
Go for
yeah,
it.
absolutely.
But the details aren't necessary for the story.
Exactly.
You went through something. No form of domestic violence is okay.
Right.
Like, and I even admitted we both got toxic.
Right.
Like I said,
Yeah.
I was like paranoid.
yeah, no, literally same. I was,
But so none of that I feel like matters. I don't feel like that strengthens my story. The story is about the recovery and hope of after, because we all want to prevent suicide, but you can't always. And when you can't, you're left with picking up the pieces and moving forward.
Right.
So that's what this story is about.
Yeah, 100%.
It doesn't need to be about every incident that happened between us.
Exactly. Because
So, sorry.
yeah, like, and if you're like,
Go watch a Lifetime movie.
no, literally go watch a lifetime. Listen to true crime.
Right.
Like this is true. And yeah, it technically was crime, but like,
Yeah.
it's not our
And
job
it's
and
still my
responsibility to
son's
tell you.
dad.
Exactly. Exactly. So like at the end of the day, like, it's not like you're trying to like protect the reputation. It's like the people that knew him will know the story.
Yeah.
They'll know. And that's
What do
for
you need to know?
them
Yeah.
to
Exactly.
sit with. Like
100%.
It's not for people on the internet to start making these decisions like, oh, this and this and that. And we're going to play the blame game. It's too late for the blame game. It's
I'd
done.
say about a year or two after, especially when Tyler and I started dating, I didn't get many, but there was like maybe one comment or one person that was like, you really shouldn't share the good stuff going on, or the stuff with you and Tyler on your suicide loss survivor page, which was dedicated to him also at the time, but
Right.
it turned into me surviving.
Right.
Because I mean, you can only do so much. Like,
Right.
it's not my job
Right.
to do that for the rest of my life.
No.
And I was like, okay, yeah, you know what? You're right.
Yeah.
This is my story. It shouldn't be here. So this is done.
Right. Yeah. So that's the thing. Like, it's just like,
That's for my son.
exactly. That's nobody else's business.
Yeah,
Like,
and his daughter to
right.
live
to,
in his
to,
memory.
to go back
Anybody
and be
else-
able to look. Yeah.
Any friends that want to, reminisce or
Yeah.
remember, go for it.
100%.
Post it, talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm here for it.
Yeah. And I think I think it's important to, like, be able to share, because then, like, people can relate, but it's not for everyone. And it's just for, like, maybe, like, it's not my job to counsel the entire internet, but I do like, people that know me and people that get to know me, or like even people that meet me through the internet, because that's such a popular way to meet people nowadays. Like, I want you to know that I've been through some stuff. Like, there is more to me. I'm not just, this exactly who I am. And I want you to actually have to get to know me as a person.
That's a good point. That was one of the things I said. I was like, this doesn't define me.
Right.
Like, moving forward or coming on the other side of that and talking about what I'm going through now is still part of my story.
Right.
This is not my only, like, that was something in therapy that I literally had to learn in therapy. She was like, this is not your story.
Right.
It's part of your
It's
story.
just something that happened.
It's something that
Yeah.
happened, and you can't change it,
No.
and nobody can change it.
Right. And
You
so,
know?
yeah. And so, God forbid you want to try to, have the most positive spin that you can on the situation that literally changed your entire life.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
it's just one of those things where it's like people can say what they want and they can be judgmental of what they want. Like, but at the end of the day, we're the ones, like, being vulnerable and actually sharing things that, like, make other people not feel so alone. And if you're upset about that, talk to your friends about it.
Thank you. Let me tell you, because when I first experienced this, just like we said, Instagram's always listening and everything's always listening. So what was on my Instagram nonstop? Widow posts, losing a spouse, losing a parent to your children.
Right.
And I'm not going to lie. I wanted to, and this is something Tyler was like, on your podcast, you should be that voice where these women, again, take it for what you want. I'm not putting them down.
Right.
But they did not help me.
Right.
They scared the fuck out of me.
Right.
They were like, I'm 5 years in and I'm living in the trenches still.
Right.
Their whole life revolved around that man, revolved
Yeah.
around that woman, revolved around their partner that they lost. And I'm like,
Right.
oh my God, this is my life.
Right.
And it doesn't have to be.
Exactly,
And
it
you're not a
doesn't.
bad person for not doing that.
Yeah, 100%. Like, that's what I think, like, and it's so hard sometimes, like, for you to get past the stigma of that's what I am. Sometimes people take that and, like, they run with it as their entire personality. And,
100.
And being the victim becomes so comfortable, and
Yep.
the sympathy feels so good. People reaching out and being like, oh, poor, but, like, eventually people have other things to do.
Yes. And there's a lady I follow. And, again, I followed a lot. I had to unfollow a couple because, like I said, I chose to not do that. So therefore I don't need to, just like if y'all don't like what we're saying, you don't need to listen or watch.
You
It's
can
fine.
actually, like, go do something else.
Right.
Like, there's a million things to do.
Follow one still. She got remarried, happened to be to his best friend. Awkward. But you know what?
But, like,
they found love and
I can kind of understand how that came to be.
they bonded over the loss.
Right. And
okay, no
so, like,
judgment there. And I remember in the beginning I was like, no judgment there. But
it is still a little like, oh,
it's a little taboo.
yeah.
But
taboo
she ended
is a
up
great
just
word.
marrying him. She's pregnant. But obviously her Instagram is designed and made on being a widow.
Right.
So, she'll post herself crying and say what it would still be like if so-and-so was here. And I'm like, my husband or that husband, I just don't see why that's okay.
Yeah.
And again, that's her thing. No judgment.
Yeah.
But I know, I'm not saying that she shouldn't ever miss him or her kids miss him. Fine.
Yeah.
They had a relationship where she misses him.
Right.
I don't have to miss anybody.
No.
Because
No, you don't.
sorry,
like,
that's going to hurt people's feelings.
exactly. But I feel the same way, like, when it comes to, like, just certain people that I've decided to like cut out of my life, like whether like people that are like
they're
related
here
to me
or
or like
passed
anything like
on,
that.
it
Yeah.
doesn't change it.
Like I'm sorry, but like if somebody that, you know, put me in a position that he put you in, it would be difficult for me to miss that. Like, you know, so I can completely understand that, like, you know, and it also was like taking away the last form of like consent that you had. Like it was the very last thing. And so for people to be like, oh, well, like, you know, you should miss the good time. I'm like,
I did that for the first like year and a half where I was almost unable to function because I was like, how is this possible? How could I possibly move on? How could I, you know, there, like, you are in the trenches hardcore.
Right.
When you lose a partner, whether it was, you know, a healthy situation or not.
Right. Well, even if you a breakup, like even just a breakup, you're in the trenches. So like this is like a breakup, like on crack.
Yes.
Like
and people
like
who
breakup on crack.
haven't gone through it or do the, well, I lost my mom last year, so I get it. I'm like, you don't.
No,
you
it's
don't
different.
Get it.
Like it's
a
different.
partner is
it's
different.
It should be different.
Yeah,
you
it should be different.
It absolutely should be different. You should not be loving your mom the same way you're loving your spouse.
Right. Well, and you're losing things that are different. Like your mom, you're losing, and that's also devastating.
It's
I would be
completely
absolutely
devastating.
devastated.
Yeah,
but it's with a partner, you're losing.
Well, your partner, your life partner, the person that literally supports you day to day, every day. Like your mom doesn't do that. Like your mom's not, you know, sleeping in bed with you every night. Like that's not.
And then people forget too. It's like, well, the children lost their dad.
Exactly.
Like the children lost their dad. That's also, so you're comparing your situation to mine. Like, yes, you're right. They also lost their dad and didn't have a choice in the matter and don't understand like the things I went through. So that's why I try to not talk about all the aspects of it, because there are children out there that don't, like, for what? They saw it. They lived through it. They witnessed it. Like, it's none of your business.
Right. Exactly.
Honestly.
Exactly.
This is to share the story of going through something absolutely mind-blowing and then going through those motions. I did go through where I was depressed and unhinged and gained a bunch of weight and didn't leave the house, and, you know, which I know we're going to talk about too, your situation with your mom and the multiple attempts she had, and what that did to you.
Absolutely.
Because a lot of people will say, well, what did that poor her, like, you know, what did that do to her? Like, it's so unfortunate she felt that way. It's like, okay, but there is another side.
There absolutely is.
It's not talked about enough.
No, I don't think that it is, like, at all. And it's like, the thing about it is, like, when it comes to like the accountability side of it, like when it comes to like, and then also like mine is like very multifaceted, because, you know, like I was like super involved in church and stuff. And I will say, like, when you have like a sad story or like a story to tell or something like that, I do feel like, we talked about the trauma porn stuff earlier, I do feel like my emotions were definitely exploited. My willingness to be vulnerable was exploited. Everything was like, oh, well, poor pitiful you, come in this room and tell these people your story. Ooh, now come in this room and tell people your story. Make sure you cry when you're telling your story. Come in this room.
God, that's
like,
awful.
And so it's like, but I don't want to talk every day about how my mom tried to kill, you know what I mean? But then there's situations like this, like this is my decision to come forward and say, I want to talk about what happened to me. And it's not because I want sympathy. It's not because I want, you know, people to be like, oh, I'm so sorry that this happened. It's because
we're so past that.
No, that actually pisses me off.
In fact, I don't want anybody
and I don't want you to, I don't like to be touched. So like, I don't want like, I don't want you to come and like, oh, like hug me, touch, like literally even my closest friends are like, can I hug you? And I'll be like, yeah, it's fine. Like, I'm like, it's okay. Like, but like, it just, it's like, no, because I don't need that. Like, I'm so far on my healing journey, and I'm so far in my life that I'm like come to peace with a lot of things. And it's like, I know you feel bad, but I don't feel bad.
Which is okay. Like, I get it. I've told people sometimes, grown men that are like veterans and first responders, and they're like, oh my God.
Yeah,
what?
exactly.
You and your son saw what?
Exactly.
Like, what do you
no,
mean?
literally, because like I knew what happened roughly, but I didn't know like the details like that. Like, and I didn't know like the publicity of it. Like that's the other thing that was like so huge, is because like you couldn't have kept that private if you wanted to.
No. And you know what? Let me tell you, sometimes people don't say the right things. I had a neighbor walk up and I almost literally punched her in the face.
Yeah.
And I remember calling Pastor Mike and being like, I'm going to hurt this girl.
Right.
And he was like, hey, they mean well. Hold on.
Right.
Take it back. Think about what you're like. They
Right.
don't understand.
Right.
And she had come up and she goes, you know, are you good? Like, I'm a single mom too. And started saying all this stuff. And I was like, you're saying all the wrong things.
No, yeah. Like,
you're saying all the wrong things right now. This is like 2 days
don't,
after.
Maybe don't bring that up like while it's fresh.
Yeah,
you
I'm
know?
like, I'm not a single mom that like, I'm like, your husband or your ex comes and picks up your daughter. Like I see him. Like, please, no,
it's
this
not
is
the
different.
same. And that's the other thing is like, I understand like wanting to give somebody something to relate with.
Yes.
I understand
and that's why I had to learn that over time.
But it's also like, you need to think about what you're saying to people that are going through things.
Yes.
Like, it's not the time to
relate
even, to them. Like, it's not, it's the time to go, hey, I'm here if you need me. If you want to talk, we can talk. If you don't want to talk, we don't have to talk.
Yeah.
I'm not going to push all these weird like expectations of how the rest of your life should be in these, you know, because who knows? Like, everybody's different.
With that being said, I think this would be a good time to bring in our guest because I also, on the other side of that, there were people that said the right things.
Exactly.
And there were people that did the right things. I have friends that stepped up. Like, I had friends, I can't even list all of them. They all know who they are. Like my friend Sarah, she would literally come and just sit with me.
Right.
And not leave the house.
It
like
makes
she'd
all
come
the difference.
and we'd order food in and just sit there and hang out with me.
Yeah.
A lot of friends did that. A lot of friends showed up. A lot of friends, you know, came. And it wasn't even necessarily you have to physically come. They were there.
Yeah.
You know.
Exactly. Yeah.
I had like this little breakfast club group where we, you know, would all get together for like breakfast sometimes. And we got together. And it took me a while to like do things. And finally I started coming out of that shell. And they, you know, just gathered around me. They surprised me with this, you know, little picnic table for Logan that said so like, I think it said daddy on it with like the dates and, you know, a lot of people stepped up.
Right.
Now there's 2 people that related to it personally and went through the same thing.
Right.
This being one of them. So, the other one couldn't make it tonight. She was going to come on, but both of them have similar stories and both of them, you know, are living their lives happy and
like you can't
successful
you can move forward. Like it's possible.
So, okay, let me,
like set it up. This is me like attempting to hide that I'm vaping back here, guys. Don't look.
Don't hide it.
Turn around.
Be you. Don't be ashamed.
Wait, have you ever seen Big Mouse?
Seen what?
Big Mouse?
What's that?
It's a cartoon. Not child appropriate.
Have I?
Probably not. You would know. Like you would know.
I would know.
It's not one of those shows that you can see and be like, It's like one of those shows that you see and you go, I don't know if I should be watching.
Wait,
this.
I think it is. I think I do know what you're talking
like
about.
With the hormone monsters and
yes,
stuff? Yeah.
I do know.
Okay, so they have a shame wizard in that. So
no, I saw that. You know, you can make like a face for your like Netflix. Like you could put like mine was the girl.
Connie. Oh, she's my favorite. If I had a hormone monster, it would be her. Sorry. But yeah, that's so funny. Anyways, the shame wizard. That was what I was.
Any hoodle.
Anyways,
but we can wait for her to get on.
Yeah.
But yeah, she was like helped me navigate through this. Like a lot, like I said, a lot of people did. So I want everybody to understand that everybody had a huge part in this of me getting to the other side, and even getting to be healthy enough to accept someone like Tyler in my life, which then completed and helped further.
Right. And
so
that's the part.
That's the best part is that I did the work, healed, figured shit out before that.
Right.
And that was like huge.
Yeah. I think that's like one of the biggest things is like taking time to heal instead of just trying to jump right back out there. Because if you had just jumped right back out there, it would be very likely
I couldn't have.
Right.
Oh my God. I don't think I could have. And like, I remember, you know, and Tyler knows this, so I'm not like afraid to say it, but there was people that I think tried to take advantage of like the vulnerability.
Yeah.
And luckily I was like, go fuck yourself.
No, literally.
Absolutely
like you peeped it real
not.
quick.
Yeah. Oh, I was not in that mode where I was like, oh yeah, I do need someone. No. I was like, nope.
No.
Nope.
But I'm like that too. I just like to be alone to process. Like, just let me do it. I don't need you coming over here and sexualizing me.
Right.
For my grief.
Right. I remember somebody once like texted me at like 10 o'clock and was like, how are you doing? And I was like, nope. I think that was like literally how I responded.
10 p.m.
I was like, nope.
Ask me how I'm doing in the morning.
And blocked. I was like on a block rampage. I was like, block. Because that tells me everything I need to know. And I want nothing to, I don't know if you know, but may that never find me again.
No, literally, may a love like that never find me.
I was like, immediately no.
Yeah.
I feel like clipping in that immediately no.
Right.
Immediately
no. Thank you. Nope. No. Oh my gosh.
What?
I look like a Hey Mama's lesbian.
What is that? Oh. What is that?
Hold on.
Wait, I need to know.
I know. It's one of those.
What is it?
It's a lesbian that's like, hold on. Like, because the backwards cap and like the chain. Okay. And they're like, hey, Mamas, what's going on?
I know. Okay, we have to post that and clip
can't.
it. I think I know. Is there one that's like, hey, Mama, what do you do if you saw me and I walked up and does that shit? Like, there.
What are you doing if I. No, I'm like, sorry. I'm sorry. I'm not that.
What does she say? Yeah. What are you doing? Or, oh my God, I know what you're talking about. There's a literal. Yeah. She has like, she wears the backwards hat. She looks like Justin Bieber.
Yes. That's what I mean. Like dang. It's like when I put the headphones on over it, I was like, oh dang.
Oh, there she is.
Hello.
Okay. Did you hear anything we were talking about?
No, I couldn't see you guys or hear you guys.
Okay. So we were like where I transitioned was basically where you come in to this. And how you helped me navigate through all of this. But there's a reason, which is because you can relate. But we were talking about how people try to relate that can't relate.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So say your name and please share your story.
Okay. So my name is Lena. In 2017, my husband of almost 10 years committed suicide. I don't really talk about it all the time, but
I know.
I don't know where to even start. I mean, there's just so much that goes along with it.
And that's the thing that I was talking about is the layers and the details of all that is not even important, you know?
Right.
There's certain things that might help somebody, but other than that, like all of the little details or things that you know or that went on between you and him, they don't matter. This is what happened. It happened. And, you know, if you want to share like your experience with when it happened, you don't have to. You don't have to share like leading up to. Yeah. If you want to, go ahead.
I don't mind. So there was a lot going on at that time in our lives. We had 2 kids. I still have 2 kids. My daughter had just turned 7. My son was about to turn 10. And money was tight. I was in nursing school. He was working, the breadwinner of the family. And I guess he wasn't always honest about money and how much we had, how much we didn't have. Mm-hmm. We lived in a 3-bedroom house in Capo Beach and were actually evicted. Because he wasn't paying the rent when I thought he was. But you didn't know that? No.
Okay.
I assumed that everything was fine. We ended up moving in with my grandma for a little while, and I can see after the fact the effect that can have on a man and his pride. But he didn't talk about it. So during the time, I just thought everything was fine. We had been fighting a lot, obviously, because he was stressed out. I was stressed too. Nursing school is not easy.
Yeah.
And then, so that the day that it happened, we had a really big fight. I left to the park with the kids, and my phone died. And then I remember walking back, and he was sitting. This was the last time I looked at him in his face. He was sitting on a curb at the end of the street that we were staying on. Um, and I was so pissed off at him that I just looked at him and walked to the house. But I can vividly see the eye contact we made, the look on his face, and I kept walking. It was just another fight. He did throw out the divorce word, and I told him the previous fight, you say that again, and fine, I'll agree with you.
As
Because
anybody would say.
that
Right.
happens.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we fought some more, and every other fight that we'd ever had, he would always take off, right? He would leave, go down to the harbor, sometimes stay at a friend's house overnight just to give distance or space. I had never done that. This is the very first time I decided to do that. So I went and stayed at a really good friend of mine's house with the kids. She lived next door to some kids that I was babysitting at the time. Not next door, but in the same city. And I said, screw it. I'm just going to put my foot down, and I'll be the one to leave this time. And we were text fighting, which is stupid, right? Like, I know better than to do that now. But back and forth, mean things. I don't really want to go into too much detail.
No need
But
to.
close to like 11:45-ish, I actually got a picture of him, which if I try to look at the picture and dissect it, he was holding the gun to his head in the photo. And I remember the text message that came after that word for word because it's just engraved into my brain. But basically, he just said that now he's out. What do I have left? And my reaction was, why are you doing this? This is the first time I've ever left. Like, knock it off. Pretty much thinking he was just drunk and being an ass. He read those messages, and then I went to sleep. The kids were already sleeping. We stayed the night at my friend's house. And the next morning, let me back up a little bit. The plan was for him to take Ethan camping. Ethan is my son, who was almost 10 at the time. And this was right before Thanksgiving and also right before Ethan's birthday. We were actually fighting over a walkie-talkie that he couldn't find, which was stupid because it was in the trailer. Like, after I went to clean all the shit out, it was in the trailer. So he lied about the walkie-talkie too. That's irrelevant. What was I saying? Oh yeah, he was.
That Ethan,
He was supposed to take him camping. So I woke up early the next morning and I texted him, like, what time do you want me to have Ethan home? And Colin was the kind of person that when we were fighting and he was spiteful, he would read my message and just not reply. He didn't read these messages. And it's like 7. He was always an early riser, 5 o'clock, 4:30. And he didn't read these ones. So I was like, okay, that's weird. And I was in Mission Viejo. We had been staying down in San Juan. So I called my grandma and I asked her, we were living at her house, if she would go check on him. There was a storage trailer in the very back of the neighborhood, and we had a toy hauler at the time, and he was prepping it to go camping. So I asked her, did he come home last night? And she said, no, he said he was going to go clean the toy hauler and that's where he would be if I needed him. So I asked her, can you go check? We got into a big fight and now he's not reading my text messages. Her phone hung up somehow, and 10 minutes later, I get a call from a voice from her phone, and it was a lady's voice that I don't recognize. And all I hear her screaming is, he's dead, he's dead. And I was like, what do you mean? Like, what? And then she hands my grandma the phone, and I can hear the despair in her voice saying, and she was like gasping for air almost, because, you know, if you see something like that, I can't imagine what I would feel. And I just fell to the floor, and I was like, what do you mean? I remember calling a friend of ours, Joe, who was really good friends with Colin at the time, because I jumped in my car. Honestly, I told my friend of where I was staying. I left my kids with her. I didn't even put my glasses on. I just jumped in the car and I took off. I don't remember driving
Yeah.
on the freeway. Like, I just told God, get me there. And I felt like I was there in 5 minutes, even though it's a 25-minute drive. I got out of the car, and as I was walking towards my grandma, she was just shaking her head no, and she had tears streaming down her face, and she said he shot himself. I fell again to the floor, and they wouldn't let me go see him, which I was pissed off about at the time. But Heather, knowing your story, I'm really grateful that they didn't.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Right.
You know, I know you had mentioned that to me about wishing that you could have seen him, and that feeling is natural.
Yeah.
But, you know, like I said, I think that you didn't need that. That was unnecessary. You didn't need
Right.
that. At the time, it felt like you needed it, but you did not need that.
And I think the brain is,
It's almost like a,
it's strong enough to come up with your own, you know, like, I didn't see him, but I just imagine the act of, and I can paint my own mental messed up picture, you know. So to actually have a
Right.
real one, which my grandma does. So I include her in
Yeah.
all of his birthdays and all of the death anniversaries, because it also affected her, because she found him. And that she told me
right.
she had nightmares
Absolutely.
for weeks because of the visual, and that sucks. Like, I asked her to go look for him, but I was kind of too far away
So,
at the time. So
but it sounds like with your situation, as with any suicide, there is many reasons, although I know you've worked through it and we know that that's not necessary, but lots of
oh
guilt
yeah,
involved there. You know, you said the first time that you went to a friend's
yeah,
house, the fact that you had your grandma go
yep,
check. And it's like all these things in hindsight, you didn't
no,
know. So, you know, immediately, like me and Tessa talked about last time, you're going to dissect. And what I want people out there to know is when you do something like this, what you're doing to all these
yeah,
people, that's important too. And that's not talked about enough. It's not talked about enough what is left behind, because the person, obviously, you feel horrible that this person wanted to end their life.
mm-hmm.
But I think people need to know what's going to happen. Your grandma's affected now.
Yes,
You're affected for life.
for life,
His children,
yep,
you know, his family,
mm-hmm.
everybody.
And it's in all
You know,
things.
your poor grandma had to go. It's
It's
what?
in all things. Like, it affects your entire life,
Yeah.
whether you, because a lot of people say, well, just move on, or, you know, and you don't, you
Yeah.
can't.
Yeah. LOL.
Right? It's like, you don't just move
Yeah,
on from that.
Yeah.
It's basically like a new imprint on you, and you live with it for forever. Like, it just follows
Right.
you,
right.
you know?
Exactly.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I think people see, you know, you're moved on with somebody
Mm-hmm.
else. You guys have your life and family. He's accepted the responsibility of your
Yeah.
children. I have the same situation. And I think people think that that automatically means
Oh, she's fine.
like, oh, well, it's just
Yeah.
erased. It's like, no, I'm sure you still have flashbacks of that night. I still have
Yeah.
flashbacks. I've gone through so much therapy. Me and you have worked through so much. And there's times where out of nowhere, I'm like, ooh, yep, that's still
Yeah.
there.
Often. Yeah. Whether it's a picture or an old movie or just anything stupid or random, it's like, oh shit, you know, and it hits you.
Like that happened.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
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 That's what it is. It's just like the reality of accepting that that is actually something that you really did go
Yeah.
through.
That is real.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, it really actually did happen. So like, and I do feel like our brain a lot of times like in like our day to day, sometimes it can be like you're just like on
Yeah.
autopilot and then it's like all of a sudden it just takes that one little
Yep.
trigger. Like where you have to be like, oh my God, this actually happened to me in my life. This, I actually went through something like this.
Yeah.
Like, that's insane. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times you hear stories and people are going to hear these stories and be like, oh my gosh. But until it happens to you
Right.
or, you know, someone close to you, it's
Right.
like the magnitude is really, really
Yeah.
extreme. I remember when this happened with Colin. I remember because we were friends on Facebook at this time. And I remember you posting it. And just like anybody else, my first initial thought is, oh my
Mm-hmm.
gosh, how is she going to get through this? How awful for this to happen to somebody. And you never know when you could be that
Right.
person.
right.
And I wasn't working.
I
I
never
had no,
thought
you
in,
know, like I was left with, I had $12 in my pocket and two kids. And I had just finished nursing school. I didn't even take the test yet to see if I passed. Like I hadn't even scheduled that. I just completed the school portion of it. Um, I don't know, 2 weeks before, maybe 3 weeks before, and I literally had nothing. And I just remember sitting there like, well, what do I do? I mean, I'm grateful that I went through nursing school at the time because I have a good career now and something that I could, lean on for finances. I didn't want to be dependent on my family the whole time, and I have my own kids to raise. So it was terrifying. Yeah.
Right.
100%.
Right.
Yes. And that's the other thing people, when you lose a spouse, you're losing so much more than just
Yeah.
that person. And people may go, oh, well, money's just money. And it's like, well, sorry, money is what you survive
Right.
on. Like, you may be homeless if you know what I mean. Like,
Right.
this needs to get figured out. It's part of the
Right.
problem, it's
Right.
part of the aftermath. And as we know, many suicides, life insurance doesn't cover it.
No,
Many people our age don't even have life
he didn't have
insurance.
life insurance. I
True.
sure as shit have life insurance now, but he didn't.
Right.
Right. Yeah. Well, actually, I think that's like kind of like a thing to bring up because like I've never had like a spouse or anything like that, but like because of how many times I've seen my mom attempt, I have life insurance.
Wow.
Isn't that that's like I was like after that it makes you realize like the importance of it, but it's because I could see like everyone that was affected by every single like
Yes.
time that she would do something like that. And so it's like, oh, I know that if something happens to me, money is important and I want my family to be able to take care of like anything they need to
Yeah.
in regards to, being left without me. So
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So that's a really good point to bring up is
Yeah.
that you were one day living your life, even if it got a little rocky in your relationship, but you're living your life, you're, accomplishing nursing school, and all of a sudden everything changes.
Everything.
And, people will look at it, okay, anybody can get in a car accident and it all changes overnight too. I understand that. And that's, anything can happen to anybody, but it's like, this is a choice. And that's a lot of times really hard to wrap your head
And
around.
for the longest
fact that
time,
this
I
chosen.
was
Right.
truly believing that it was an accident, right? Because even though he texted me
Right.
what he texted me, and I mean, I
Yep.
could read it word for word because it's engraved in my brain, but the other half of me was like, there's no way he would leave his kids. There's no way he would leave his mom. There's no way that he would do
Right.
that. Um, 6 days before Ethan's 10th birthday, right? And
Right.
Heather, I think you know this, but he actually he wasn't Ethan's biological father. Um,
Yes.
I got with Colin when Ethan was probably about 9 months old, and they clicked. He actually asked me before Ethan could even,
That's his dad.
yeah, but he had asked
Yeah.
me before Ethan could even talk, if it's okay when he starts talking, can he call me dad? And I was like, oh, I'm going to marry you. We're going to be together forever. Um, we decided, oh gosh, I don't even know, maybe a month before he died, to finally tell Ethan the truth. Significant things happened to me when I was 9. So in my brain, I was like, 9's the magic age. He'll understand. He'll grow up. He'll be just fine.
Yeah.
You too.
9 was my
Mhm.
actually that's crazy because I was 9 years old when I like found my grandma passed
Oh,
away and I found
yeah.
her. And so that's when I was 9 years old. Yeah. So like
Yeah.
crazy. That 9 is a strange number because for me like to know that like that's when your like moral compass is set.
Right.
Like by the time you're 9 years old, like your moral, like your base moral compass is pretty much set based
Yeah.
on like observing your surroundings and everything
Yeah.
like that. So actually there is like science behind the fact that 9 is like when that's like a good time to like start telling kids things like
Yeah.
that because their brains are finally able to like start to understand
Yeah.
it.
They
Yeah.
comprehend different. They're on the verge of maturity and identity and all those things.
Right.
Like you're just right there.
Yeah.
So, and I wasn't part of the conversation. I wanted him and Colin to have a heart to heart and not feel like I was, putting my feelings between them. I wanted them to have the conversation by themselves. So he took him to go ride dirt bikes, and
Yeah.
on the drive up there said, I want to talk to you. And he said, although this doesn't change a dang thing, I'm not your biological dad. So the fact that a month later he decided to leave, I should have gone to therapy, right? I think I manage it okay now. Um, I'm sure it comes out in areas that maybe I don't notice, but I made sure the kids had therapy.
Yeah.
And I actually just told my daughter, she's 14, so we're starting to talk deeper and about more things.
Which, by the way, her daughter is like the most exceptional young lady. Her
Yeah.
and her son are, if it says anything about her as a mom, they're both just like unreal kids.
Yeah. That's
Thank
really
you.
cool.
You're welcome.
But I just told her yesterday, actually, because I was telling her that I was excited and nervous to be on a podcast with you guys. But we started talking about grief and what pulled me through, because they think that I pulled them through, and I told her, you guys pulled me through. And they did, because their little laughter, or even them fighting, right? Like just living life and being little shits together, fighting each other and pissing me off, and all the things that kids are supposed to do to parents, reminded me that I'm still alive, that I still have a life to live, that I have things to do, that I have kids to raise. And I don't ever consider it moving on, but I do consider it pushing forward, because
Right.
that's the only way to
Yeah.
go. I didn't want to get stuck and stay. And I was drinking in the beginning. I've been sober for 5.5, almost 6 years, but
Congratulations.
Yeah.
thank you.
Congratulations.
It's just so easy to be like, oh, I don't want to feel this, so I'm just going to drink it away. And literally I did. I don't know. If I could have anybody crying with me at this, if I'm drinking, we're crying. That's it.
Yeah.
Just that was it. So my kids asked me like, hey, we don't like who you are when you drink. Will you stop? So I did. Only one conversation. Yeah. But yeah, so I give 100% credit to my children. Let's do 99, because I give credit to Mitch too. And this was another thing that I wanted to talk
Well,
about.
hold on. I have to interrupt you. You need to give credit to yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. Like it takes a lot of strength and a lot of like, fortitude to
Yes.
be able to do something like
You
to be able
are
to make
in
it
that
through.
percentage, just so you know.
Yeah.
Big time.
Yeah. I just feel like without
So don't
them,
forget
I
that.
would have given up,
Right. And it's the same vice versa. Without you, it would have been the same for them. Like the fact that your kids are such like incredible people, like kids don't act that way because they learn that themselves. They learn that from behavior of like people that are around them. So if you hadn't set like such a strong example in the first place, like even like getting up and doing what you needed to do just because, then they probably wouldn't be the people that they are today having that example of you, you know? So
Yeah.
just something to think
Thank
about.
you.
You're welcome.
That's a good way to look at that.
Yeah. But it does, and that goes into, it does matter who is around you.
It really does.
And, I know that especially Mitch, you talked to me about that, like helped you through a lot of it. And then ultimately, we started talking about it years later, and it's like we helped each other navigate through it, even though you had gone through it previously and had a couple years on it. It's like you still need that help navigating with, like, wow, somebody knows what it feels like, because you feel so alone.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And I didn't know anybody at the time that had ever gone through anything like that. I don't think anybody in our friend group at that time had anything similar. And I'm not the kind of person that's going to just go join a Facebook group and talk to all these strangers that
Right.
I went through it
Yeah.
too. And it's like, I don't want to do that.
No, I actually, that's
It
like the
actually
last
like
place I want
didn't
to
help.
be.
Like I had like a couple
Yeah.
things pop up, like I was talking about earlier on Instagram, and it actually wasn't. I'm not saying people shouldn't find communities or groups that might be helpful for them, but
Right.
I don't know that it works for everyone.
Right.
But it wasn't helpful for me because
Yeah.
unlike you and I, who wanted to live our lives and do better for our children and like move forward, like you said, like push through, some of them don't want to do that. And that's
Yeah.
okay. That's their journey. But I could not be around that because I
Yeah.
was that for like the first like 6 months to a year. And I was like, okay, I don't want this anymore.
Right.
Like, I don't want 5 years from now. I don't want to be like this still.
Right. Like every time you would post something that would be a picture of him or of him and your son, and you would just, it was nothing but honoring, there she goes again, honoring his name and memory and all those things.
It felt like it was my job. Like I was like I had to.
Like I didn't post him. It wasn't the daily, like I kept it, internally. So then seeing you do that helped me because I was like, holy shit, grief is literally different for every single person,
Yeah.
And I mean, I felt like, okay, well, maybe I should have been posting him or, the woulda, coulda, shoulda, did I do it wrong kind
Right.
of thing. And
No.
then you
No, you did
always
not.
told me, like, no, you're not doing anything wrong. It's just however you're doing it. And that's fine. Like, how you grieve is how you grieve. You don't owe anybody an explanation.
Exactly.
Exactly. But as we know, I was also overcompensating a little bit and overcompensating for the shame and embarrassment that I had and the things that did happen prior and for the past 8 years. I think that I went into like this hardcore like fantasy world. And I'm okay saying that now. Like I'm
Right.
okay with saying that was a fantasy world that I portrayed.
Right.
Like a fantasy that
Right.
did not exist.
Exactly.
Like I said, I'm not saying there was nothing good or nothing, anything like that, but I went into extreme of posting and
Yeah.
like I was like in the thick of it.
Right.
And I thought that's what was going to help me. And actually it didn't. I thought it was. And until I was like, okay, this is not a way to live your life.
Right.
Like I need to live my life for me at this point and my
Right.
children and my friends and my family. Everything changed.
Right.
Everything changed.
Yeah.
Once I realized that.
Absolutely.
But there's guilt yet again with suicide. The people left behind have such guilt in everything. I felt guilty if I was happy. Me and Natalie, Natalie,
Yeah.
we would be like,
Yeah.
we're like laughing and we're like, is that okay? Like, we're laughing. Is that okay?
Is it
Like
okay
we're
for us
like
to
not
laugh
sitting
at
here
this?
crying.
Yeah.
Like, are we bad people for doing that? And it's like,
Right.
no, you're not.
No, you're
Right,
not.
you're-
That is one of
yeah.
the hardest things to understand, that joy and grief coexist. They
Yes.
literally
Right.
just intertwine, and it's hard to figure out how to be okay with that. And like you said, when you're laughing or watching a movie and doing absolutely nothing, it's like, oh, he's dead. Like, should I be doing this? I shouldn't be laughing. I
Right.
shouldn't be I
Right.
shouldn't be watching a movie. And it's like, well, I didn't end my life. He ended
Right.
his life.
Correct.
So either I stay stuck in the grief, which I considered it like quicksand, right? Because the faster you try to move through it, the deeper you sink.
Right.
Yeah.
So I always just said, just slow and steady. Just, move and do it. Just get up, go do things. Be okay
Yeah.
with feeling something other than despair and sadness. That wasn't, like you said, that wasn't what I wanted. I didn't want that for my life. So
Right.
forward
Exactly.
we went.
Well, I'm glad you
Yeah.
did. I do think there's some people that don't. And I want them, that's the people that I want this to reach is like, you can, and it's okay for you to
Yeah.
do that.
Yeah,
And you
you
should.
should.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like we're always like, oh, we're not telling people what to do. No, like you should.
No,
like
you
you're
actually
alive,
should.
live your life
Right.
and get out of this. Like
Yeah.
get out of the trench that you're in because it's not
Exactly.
fair.
Yeah.
There's a reason you're still here. Like, you're not here
Exactly.
for nothing.
Yeah, exactly. And I think like just being like, I think just living your life and just moving on is enough. I don't think there's anything extra that you need to be doing. I don't think you have to
Right.
like go and like, volunteer at these groups and do these things and like, join every Facebook group in humanity and like make sure you're always posting and taking, you don't have to do that.
And I see,
Literally-
and that's what I
Yeah.
thought I had to do in the beginning.
Yeah.
And I did that. And it actually became exhausting. And I was like, this is my identity is doing all this. But, I needed to do that in the beginning. And then I realized like, like you said, it doesn't need to be that in order
Yeah.
to living your life is enough. And, I know that you said you guys have had a lot of interaction with suicide and suicide attempts also. And that you, even your son with some friends or people in school, which, we're seeing the numbers rise.
Right. Right.
So it's like, where are we that the awareness, there's so much awareness,
Right.
but kind of like we talk about, we need to start teaching people the accountability of the magnitude of what they want to do.
Right. Right.
It just
Like-
takes all of their pain and transfers it to everybody else. So
Right.
it's not like
Yes.
it just disappears. They think, if I
Yeah.
do this, I don't have to feel this anymore. No, you don't. We do. Our
everyone
kids
else
do.
does.
Our kids. Anybody that's
Right.
in our lives, whether it's people we've known forever or new people. It's like, I don't
Right.
want that to be my story, but it is. My story is I was married to a man that committed suicide, and that sucks. I don't want to relate to suicide.
Right.
When you called me, deep inside, I didn't want to have to relate. But then I was like, holy shit, I'm not alone. And we weren't close, but we'd, high school and Facebook,
Yeah.
keeping in touch over the years. We somehow, like magnets, right? Like,
Right.
we were really close after that phone call.
Yep. Oh, forever. We said we're now part of a club that we never wanted to be part of
Right.
and didn't know we needed, but
Yeah.
we're part of it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and just knowing that I wasn't alone anymore, it filled a different void that I forgot had been there, right? Because you slowly fill the cracks in your heart with your kids' laughter or whatever happy moments you go through. And then there's the other void of, I'm going through this by myself, right? Like, yeah, my kids were grieving too, but they were grieving their dad. I was grieving a husband.
Exactly. Like
Right.
we said, it's a different loss.
It's different.
So we were talking about that before you jumped on. We were saying how, I lost my train of thought. The different, or people
Right.
trying to relate that
Relate
don't
it, yeah.
understand, and they'll be like, "Oh, I just lost my mom, or
Right.
something." It's like all different kinds of
Exactly.
loss, and especially when it's like this by choice.
Yeah.
But as we talked about, Tessa's mom made several attempts. She did not succeed. She's still alive, but she's still in active addiction. And I know
Right.
you have some experience with that too, with family, which, can be tough in itself.
Yeah. And like, I guess like in the terms of like, I can understand the crying wolf. I can understand the empty threats. I can understand the, we have gone through this so many times. Like, okay, yeah, I'm sure you really are. Like, or like this argument, like you're just gonna do whatever you want to do. But I know that like it's very real that one day like she could actually do it.
Right.
Like she could actually do it. And all of these times that she's like been like attempting or even been committed into like mental institutions, like it's like I'm so almost like I hate to say like numb to it that it's like I like if that was to ever happen, and it's like real because like the statistics are if they've tried once it's likely that they'll try again.
Yeah.
And I don't know how many times she's tried, so I don't know what those statistics are about, like, and so it's like I can understand like the pre, like the like what it's like,
The feeling
the
that,
feeling
like,
of
even though
like
she hasn't succeeded, like
right,
that
exactly.
feeling.
Right, but then it's
of-
like, well, are you lying though? Like, are you just saying this to manipulate me? Are you just like
That's the other thing. Did Colin ever threaten this prior to?
One time. It was probably a year before, and I mean, we were probably stressing over the same things, right? Money and rent and whatever. And so a year before, I was like in the trenches of nursing school, and I was not working at all, no part-time anything. I didn't bring any kind of money to the family, so it was all on him. He said it, and then I said, "How fucking dare you? How could you say such a thing? You have kids."
Right.
Like, not only does he have
Yep.
Ethan and Allie, he also has an older son too. And then his parents. And I was like, why would you say such a thing? And I remember him crying to me and saying, "I didn't mean it. I'm so sorry. I would never say that ever again."
yeah, yeah,
This is exactly what we've gone through too.
yeah,
And then when that's why when he texted me the picture, and Heather, I'll send it to you. That way you guys can see what I'm talking about. Because it was dark, right? So his face is dark, and the light's shining behind him, but it's silhouette, and you can clearly see what looks like the gun to his head.
Yeah.
When he sent that to me and then sent me the message, like, "I'm out now. What do you have?" I was like, "You're full of shit. You're just doing
Because
that
it was
because
you-
we're fighting."
right.
Yes, it was used as manipulation before,
Right.
and you felt like it was used as like a scare tactic or like
Right.
yeah, I guess kind of. I mean that it's kind of abusive, honestly. Like when I learned that when people do that, that's not fair to you, because
Right.
I got threatened with that so many times, like countless. That like Tessa said, like with her mom,
Yeah.
you're not, it still kind of gives you that jolt, and you're still
Right.
like, oh, are they
Like,
going to
you
do
still
it?
get- you
But then
still
you're like,
drop,
every
yeah.
time that they don't, you're like, okay, it's like almost like a little less scary.
Yeah.
And I mean, the first time he said it to me in our relationship, I was like, holy shit. I was like, oh my God, where are you? Like, do I call the cop? Like, I was
No, literally.
freaking out. And then after 8 years of hearing that, I was like, I mean, I would still be like, think about your daughter, think about your
Right.
son, think about your mom, think about me,
Yeah.
think about Brad. Like, I would literally go through the list, like you said, think about everybody, and do the whole thing. I mean, I would still say that even after all that time. But he did the same thing too. I would say probably 3 days, no, like a week before, sent me a picture, and I didn't know where he was, but he sent me a picture with that same situation, crying. And I remember responding like, I'm going to put your son in the car and we're going to have to go look for you right now. Like,
Yeah.
if I have to call the cops, I will. Like that one, I was like,
Right.
dude, what are you doing?
Yeah, actually.
Yeah. But I mean, we can talk about how his friend committed suicide, because
Yes.
that
And
affects it
how-
affects me too.
How important it is, for
Right.
houses with young children or teens to have their firearms. Like, even people with them locked up,
Yeah.
they will know where you put those keys. They can find those keys.
Yeah.
Like, you never know. Is the harder you make it, for someone that age, they might be able to think twice about it. Kind of what
Right.
happened with you. Your
Yeah.
friend called you right at that moment.
Exactly. Yeah.
Adults are a little different. They need to be accountable for themselves, but teens and young people, like, we have to take a part and play a part in that.
Yeah. 100%.
Adults, we can only do so much. So I think some of the responsibility needs to be taken off of us, to be honest.
Oh, for sure. And so
Yeah,
it's happened to two of his friends too. He just had another recent friend, but he did his with his car on the toll road. So it's kind of like, I don't know. I feel like there needs to be better resources for men, right? Because men are just taught,
100%.
oh, suck it up, deal with it.
Yeah. Right.
Don't talk about your feelings. We don't do that. Well, we
Right.
need to. Like, men need to. If you're feeling like shit, or if you're feeling down, or if you're feeling anything, just say so. It should be
Even
okay to talk about feelings.
Tyler did an episode, and one of his friends was like, "Oh, you know, if a man does that like every week or doesn't deal with their like they're not dealing with their shit," and I'm like, I have to chime in. I don't agree. I don't agree. That mindset is the problem, and I don't agree with that.
Right.
Now, do I think that if somebody's using therapy or using that as like we said, as a solution, not a tool,
Right.
there's a difference. You still have to work. You still
Right.
have to try. You still have to be accountable. And the
Right.
lack of accountability is the problem, not a man going to seek therapy or help.
Right.
That should not be shamed. I don't know where that shame came in of, oh, then you're a pussy or you're this or you're that. Like, you're not dealing with your shit. That's got to stop.
Oh, it's the bravest thing in the world to speak up and to talk about stuff. It's,
Right.
I don't know. I just feel like men need to learn how to be more open. Like, so what if people are going to think that you're a pussy because you're talking about your feelings? Talk about your feelings.
Yeah. And those people that are thinking like, oh, this guy's a pussy for this or that, like they're suffering.
Yeah.
9 times out of 10, they have something deep inside themselves that they are so ashamed of, so like hurting and so like they have so much shame in just like being a human or like
Well, and they'll
being,
die on
like-
that hill and say, no,
Exactly.
they don't. No, I'm fine. I don't have that. I can handle my shit. I don't need that shit. But
It's their
it's
favorite
like,
thing to say is, I'm fine.
Right. I'm like, okay, then listen to one sad song, I dare you.
right.
Like you're not
Well, let me
gonna
tell
be
you,
fine.
or like how many beers are you drinking every night?
Right.
How much weed are
Exactly.
you smoking? How much
long
drugs
are you spending
doing?
on the internet watching girls?
Right. How much porn are you watching? Like, let's see all the other things you're doing to cope, and then we'll talk. But you know, as far as David goes, he I think I told you, he said to me once, like, why am I going to go to a therapist and tell all my problems to somebody that doesn't give a fuck about me?
Right.
And I was like, okay, I get that. I hear you, but that might not be the thought process to have.
Right.
Even if they don't care about you, so what? It's
Right.
something to get
It's not their job
it
to
off
care
your
about you.
chest.
It's their job
Yeah.
to help you.
And be objective and be like
Exactly.
non-biased.
Yeah, because if it is somebody that deeply cares about you, you're not going to get the help that you need.
Yeah, it's not going to be unbiased.
Right. That's like the whole point.
And
of
you'll
it.
hold
Like,
back on things, right? Because if you know they
Yes.
care about you, you're not going to be like, oh my gosh, I was
Right.
a really big shitbag the other day. No, you're going to mute
a good
it and be
point.
like, oh, it wasn't my fault, you know?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or just like leave it out completely because you don't want that to change that person's perception of you.
Yes.
You know, like I think that's like a huge part of it is like a lot of times these men feel like I'm a failure, I'm this, I'm that, and like, you know, if I tell them this, if I let them know, then they're gonna know that I'm a failure. They're gonna know
Like, they're
that I'm
never going to get that out of their
Yeah,
thought of me. Like,
exactly.
forever, they're going to be like, oh my God.
right. But the
Remember
thing
that
is,
time he couldn't handle his shit? Like,
yeah, like that's the thing, and the thing is like, hey, buddy, we know. Like you're not. Like,
there's
you're
other
not
signs.
keeping it a secret already.
when
like,
there's
it's not,
a lot
like,
of men that I see that talk badly about therapy or like getting
Yeah.
help, what do? All of a sudden they're like, oh, I haven't heard from, I'm just going to use a random name, John for 2 weeks because he goes cold and disappears and he goes into a dark place. And it's like, okay, that's him
Yeah.
needing to get help and saying,
Right.
I don't need help. It's like, you do though.
Yeah.
And that's
exactly.
okay.
Yeah. And that's like a little different in terms of like people that like take time to process things. Like,
100%.
that's
Like,
different.
if you need some time,
But,
like
yeah.
away from people, but it's like when it's a habitual thing that you go dark on everyone, like
Right.
somebody doesn't even know if you're alive. It's
Right.
like, okay, you could at least be like, no, dude, I'm good. I'm just taking a minute to myself.
Yeah.
Like,
No,
if
exactly.
you need, Communicate. Yeah. When you isolate, that's a problem. Like David started
100%.
isolating. He quit his job. Like there was signs, but if you're
Yeah.
trying to help the person, you know, I'll say this. At one point I said, when I told him he should maybe check into a hospital,
Right.
his answer was, oh, because you think I'm so fucking crazy, huh? I'm not fucking crazy. And I said, no, I think that something's happening and something's going on.
Right.
And it was immediately a defense.
Right.
It was, you're fucking crazy. You're stupid. You're a dumb bitch. Like, okay, I shouldn't get into all that. But like,
Yeah.
yes,
Yeah.
it was deflection as
Right.
far as
Taking responsibility for the way that you're feeling.
I think he was scared.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's okay. It's okay to be scared. Like, I understand that society is telling these men, like, it's your job to be the protector. It's your job to be the provider. It's your job to be the one that's, you know, taking care of other people. I understand that. But like, literally, like the greatest warriors, like if you read any like autobiographies or like, you know, historical account, they're scared too.
Yeah.
Like these people are also scared, and it's not something to feel shame about. Like, scared is an emotion, and you can use that and turn that into other emotions that help drive you and motivate you. But if you don't know how to convert that emotion,
Yeah.
then you're never going to know that that fear is actually not a weakness.
Even if every man watching this right now says, who are these stupid girls? And they don't know anything about what men go through or think about.
Right.
That's fine. That's
Right.
what we're going to be met with. But I know the ones that are hearing this that need to hear it,
Right.
that aren't going to say that they needed to hear it.
Right.
That's all that matters, is that we reach them, because
Yeah.
they're not going to admit it, which is fine.
Yeah. I was just going to say, like, I can imagine if men are watching this and they're listening to the three of us talk about it. We're three women talking about how
Right.
men need to feel and talk about their feelings. I feel like what we need is more men saying it's okay to
Yeah.
feel. It's okay to talk about your
Exactly.
feelings. Because if another man
100%.
says it, then the men are going to be like, oh shit, he's right. But they're going to look at us and be like, okay, you emotional girls, you know?
Right.
So,
Right.
But what they need to
Yeah.
see is that there's, even though it wasn't a man, it's your mom, there's somebody right there and two women right here that literally had to deal with the men in their life shooting themselves in the head,
Right, exactly.
and taking their life. So if you want to be blunt, we could be
Right.
blunt.
Right.
And you're going to tell us we don't know what
Right.
we're talking about, and that we're the wrong women. You should be saying that too.
Right. No, exactly.
So
I
it's
100%
like,
agree.
you know, and I still think men will literally, quite literally, not even figuratively, die on that hill
Yeah. And that's
instead of getting help.
and it's so sad. Like, and the thing is, like, if one thing, like, you hear us and we're talking about emotions and this and that, like the thing that I also think that they need to hear, we need you. Like, we need men. We need you here. Like, it's like the things that are going on in our society, and the way that like social media is like changing people's perspectives of everything, and how porn is like ruling the world, and like all of this stuff. We need men to like to deal with their
Back to
stuff,
my-
and we need you for ourselves. Like,
Right.
Yeah. Like,
Society. Back to that
Yeah.
post that said, where she's like, men are useless.
Right.
So how can men feel like, it's like,
Yeah.
oh, you better provide and better do everything, but you're also useless.
Right.
It's like what?
You can't be both. Like, it can't be both things. And like, I will fully admit, like, I definitely went through that like early college phase of like, you know, dating the wrong guys, you know, men ain't shit, blah, 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 like all of that. And I stood by that until the second I saw my nephew be born. And I was like, I cannot imagine telling this precious little fresh out the womb baby, you ain't shit, men don't matter, like blah, blah, blah. Because if he's going through something, like, I want to be there for him, and I want to like be there to love and support and like
Right.
let him know that things are going to be okay. And so like it started to feel wrong for me to continue with the narrative of like, you know, men are useless, men ain't shit, because that's not true.
No.
Like, it very much needed. Like, as well as women are very much needed. And like, I know that people are going to get mad when I start talking about, like, it's not like gender role. It's not that. It's not
Yeah.
that. It's literally just that men do things and provide things that women cannot. And women do things and provide things that men cannot. And we need each other
Yeah.
to be successful. So it's like, you know, we're not trying to hate. And like, you know, even though sometimes I'm a little bratty and have an attitude sometimes. Yeah. But
I mean, we all do.
exactly. Like it's like you're necessary and you're needed. Like we literally cannot do this without you.
Yeah.
So, you know, that's like, you know, men's mental health, like
Men's mental health. It's important.
yeah.
You know, and me, you know, we had to do it. We did have to do it and figure it out. But we shouldn't have been put in that position.
Correct.
Like we shouldn't have, but we did. And we figured
Absolutely.
it out. So are we capable of doing it? Of course. We are capable. But doesn't mean we wanted to, doesn't mean we should have, you know, and even if, you know, these two relationships didn't work out, let's say you guys got a divorce, like that would have been such a better alternative. He could have moved on in his life. You could have moved on,
Right.
you know, he could have, exactly. And you guys could have co-parented. He could have
Right.
maybe worked on himself. Like you
Yeah.
could, like, I think about that, especially when people, you know, a lot of people came to me and were like, oh, were you guys like, did he catch you cheating or did you guys break up? Or
Right.
like, there's always like this thought that like,
Yeah.
and it's like, no. And, yeah. And it's like, A, don't ask people that.
No.
And B, even if that did happen,
Right.
that's people don't go kill themselves because of
Exactly.
that.
That's not a reason to.
That's not a
like,
reason to take your life. That is
Right.
on them.
Right. Like if I did cheat on you, if I did lie to you, if I did manipulate
happens every
you,
day with people.
Leave.
Which, mind you, that didn't
Like,
happen
you
with
can-
either of
yeah,
us. But
exactly.
we're
Right.
just
No.
saying
You are
before
not
everybody
those
goes
kind of
on with
women.
that one.
No, like not at all. Not at all. Not at all. But yeah, it's like you like the thing that I think a lot of people are also afraid of like starting over. But like, hey, guess what? If you do something like this to your family, they don't have a choice but to start from
over.
ground zero.
Yep.
Like when you didn't have to, exactly. When you didn't have to do that, you guys already had a foundation, and whether it be rocky or not, like it's still something, and
Yeah.
you can choose to like break from it, and like you will be like your life will move forward.
Yeah.
Like it will. Like this moment isn't permanent.
Exactly. You're making a permanent decision on a
Yeah.
temporary feeling.
Yeah, exactly.
And that was the other
Anybody
thing I
who's-
wanted to say too, because, sorry, they just opened the door.
That's okay. It happens to us all the time.
Right. So from the outside, right, it looks like we're fine and we made it and we're okay,
Yeah.
but we're not, right? So
Right.
I don't want people contemplating suicide to see success stories of us suicide
Right.
survivors and be like, "Oh, if they're going to be fine, my family will be fine too."
Right.
No, they won't. It's not
No.
Well-
it's not okay. Like, yes, we do live and I feel joy and I feel happy and I love my life right now.
Let's not forget, too, their moms,
Yeah.
their kids, like we said,
Yeah.
their sisters,
Or even
their brothers,
friends,
their
even
friends.
co-workers, like
Co-worker-
even
yeah, there's people that are, like-
acquaintances. Like it affects. It goes very deep. Yeah, and
So,
that's the
for sure. Like, I know a mother
yeah. And I
losing
can-
their child that way. There's no recovering from that.
Exactly. And that's one of the things, like, so I can speak to someone who has been like, I almost attempted, like I literally was like seconds away from doing this. And the thing, if I hadn't got that phone call, if I hadn't had that moment to think of like, oh my God, but I was 14, so my brain wasn't even
Right.
fully developed. And so I was like, oh, but like, how are they going to be okay without me actually? I was like, they'll be able to survive, but like, how can I do this to my little sister who looks up to me, and do I want her to think that like this is like a viable option, like this is a way that you have out? Or like, how could I do this to even my friends that like, you know, come to me for advice or like anything like that? Like, how could I possibly like take what I give and like the love that I have away from all of these people just because I can't handle this moment? Right.
Well, and I think that's why we both are so open with our kids about it, because we want our children to know that
Right.
this will never be, you
Right.
know, like I said in the last episode, an option.
Yeah.
Or if you're having a bad day, you know, Logan, not that long ago, literally got upset because I yelled at him and he said, I want to die, or I don't want to be here. And I was like, okay, first off, no, we're not
Right.
going to do that. We're not going to
No.
say that. Let's talk about it. And I also don't want him to use that, because me and Tyler talked about it. Like, you're not going to use that as manipulation either, but we're going to talk about it. We're not ignoring that. And I was like, I mean, he
Right.
started crying because I was like,
Yeah.
everybody loves you.
Right.
And like, we need you here. You're important. And he
Right.
started crying. And I thought, great. Our children, even
Right.
though they're doing well and they're all thriving
Right.
and they're all amazing kids, that still happened. And they still saw someone they love do that.
Right. And so now they have that in their head is like, this is an option. And I think that's like kind of what affected me as well, because like my
saw your
had
mom do it.
I had already seen my mom attempt several times before I was like, oh, well, first of all, I know exactly how to do it.
Right.
I know exactly how she did it. I know exactly how to, like, and so it's like when you're doing something like that, like not only are you, well, I think it's very selfish and manipulative to do something like that to your
use that
family,
as-
to use
yeah.
that tactic. And also, I also think it's selfish to like, to choose to end your own life. And I know that that's like,
And that people have a hard time
they have
hearing
a
that.
really hard time with that.
I
And
was
it's
not
like,
okay when people would say like how selfish he
Right.
was. And I was like,
Exactly.
no, he was going through a lot. He was
Right.
battling demons. He
Yeah.
was, and then later there was parts of me that was like, damn, that was selfish. And then
Yeah.
to do it in front of your children, like
Right.
your child,
yeah.
like you really were not thinking about anybody else.
Right.
But then I was like, but was he thinking about us? What? Oh.
Sorry, I thought I heard something.
Oh, it's like you go through all those emotions of like being mad at them, being
Right.
like understanding of them, being
Right.
accepting, like, okay, this is what they needed to do,
Yeah.
feeling sympathy for them.
Yeah.
Like you go through all those things,
Right.
I felt sad. Like, gosh, I cannot imagine feeling like
Right.
I can't even
Right. Get there.
take too many
Yeah.
Advil. I'm scared to like
Right.
die. Like
Exactly. Yeah.
So it's like to be like, oh, I'm just going to do this and I'm going to do, like, I'm actually going to do it and do
Yeah.
it is
100%.
mind blowing to me.
Exactly. Like that's the thing. And that's why like even like still like I don't have like the ideations or the impulses or the want or anything like that. Like I've talked to a lot of people. I've worked through a lot of stuff, and also realizing I was 14 years old and obviously I didn't have control of anything going on in my life. Like
Right.
but like even with that, it's like, sorry, I almost just lost my train of thought. Because that was like a lot of like flashback that just happened. But like but it's like, wait, hold on. What did we just say right before that? I literally like lost my whole train
See,
of
this
thought.
is what happens when trauma dump starts happening.
Yeah,
Is
I'm like, I
we've
literally
all
just
said, how
forgot.
many times have we said during this episode, like, wait, what was I saying?
Yeah.
You did it. I did it.
Yeah.
Tessa's done it. Like, yeah,
Yeah.
we've all been like, wait, what?
Yeah,
Because your
it's-
brain shuts
Yeah.
down.
Yeah, like with the when you like, because like the flashbacks are real, like they're real,
Oh, for
like
sure.
and so like even like in preparation of talking about something like this, like obviously it's gonna be like more freshly on our minds, and so like we're all gonna have to take a little bit of time and like whoosah, like okay,
Yeah.
like it's okay, like because it is exposing a part of our vulnerability that like. I mean, it's still a little sensitive. I feel like,
Yeah.
and I feel like for everyone, it's still like,
Oh,
I
when
don't
Lena,
like when you
can't
touch that
see us.
spot.
I thought she could see us. I did I don't know what I did wrong, but when you were, when you were telling your story, I could tell my story
Yeah.
and I'm like fine because I think
Right.
my brain is like not
Yeah.
alive when I tell my
Right.
story. But like when you were telling your story, I was like not. I started to like lose it a little bit, and I
She
was like,
actually crying.
I was like,
Yeah.
what is happening? But when
Yeah.
I tell my story, it's autopilot. So I don't feel, and people might be like, wow, you're a monster, but I don't feel emotion. I feel emotion when I talk about Logan.
Right.
And when
Well,
I
yeah,
say
that's your baby.
like what he saw and to fathom that he saw that.
Right.
That's the healed part of you, Heather, because you're healed to the point where now you see just how much shit you did go through
Right.
on all the bad things that you guys went through. You're healed, right? So it's okay that it's not so emotional to you. It's still emotional.
Yeah, no, 100%. Hold on 1 second. You guys go continue.
What even was that? That was crazy. But yeah, no, I agree. It's like it's because now for me, like used to like when like I said, we talked a little bit before, but like after I went through like what I went through and my mom went through all her attempts and stuff, like I felt like there were so many people that like were using my trauma as like a way to like, oh, I'm so glad that didn't happen to me. Well, and they wanted me to tell the story and they wanted me to get into the gruesome details of things.
Yeah.
And
people like it. People like to
Yeah.
hear about it. And people would ask me
Yeah.
too, like, what happened?
Right.
Yeah. Morbid curiosity. Exactly. Like, so what happened? And they'd want to know,
Well-
Because then
like,
if they
the
know, they feel
details.
like they
Yeah.
can relate somehow. And it's like, no, you can't. You just know the story.
Right.
That doesn't mean you relate.
Right. Like I don't like that, like, because I would speak about it. Like there was a time that I was like I was in high school, so it was like a little bit fresher, and like I was a part of like FCA, like Fellowship of Christian Athletes and stuff like that, and we had this like big like this thing called Fields of Faith, and it's like where you go and you like, you know, share your testimony and like all of this stuff. And a lot of times it was like a lot of the people, their first time knowing that I had even gone through something like that, and like I couldn't get through the story. I'm sobbing, I'm crying, but then like for months and months, even like for the rest of the time I was in high school, people would be like, I can't believe you almost tried to kill yourself, like that's crazy, what would that like? And I'm like, what?
It's like as you're
Like-
healing and
like-
finally moving forward, it's like, let me relive this.
Right.
Which exactly,
Like,
we
it's
are doing that
crazy.
right now, but
Yeah,
we're doing
but
it
I'm
by
healed.
choice.
I'm an adult. I'm healed. Like I'm very like I can say the story without like sobbing and without like and it does feel still sensitive. Like it's still like
Yeah.
a raw part of my like heart and stuff like that. But it's like I know now what it was, what I was feeling, why I was feeling that way. I have processed like the fact that like, you know, life moves on and it is okay. Like you will be okay. Like it's like it
Right.
will
This thing called
happen.
life doesn't stop
No.
for
Right.
anybody.
No.
It doesn't.
Until we, you know, meet Jesus ourselves.
Yep.
Like it does not stop.
No.
Exactly.
And, you know, but I will say for the people that are struggling, the people that have gone through something like we did and are
Right.
struggling at the navigating through that,
Right.
it is good to have somebody to turn to. Now, if you don't have somebody to turn to, there's other alternatives.
Right.
Taking your life is not one of them.
Right.
No.
So reach out to somebody, call the hotline, call, like go to a
That's
hospital,
why
go
Ethan
anywhere.
wants to do
Yeah.
that booth.
Do anything.
Like my son just texted me today that he wants to set up random booths in the city and not sit at them or anything. He just wants to leave a jar and some pens. What do you want prayer for? And then leave little notes like, if you're feeling suicidal, try this number. I've almost wanted to leave my phone number random places too, you know, just because it sucks
Right.
to feel alone, you know.
Right.
And I don't, and bless your heart because
Yeah.
you went through it without like I was able to, I remember telling you, I said, I need you.
I remember
Like,
opening my phone that
I
day
literally,
and you
like-
messaged me and you were like, I need you to call me. And I was like, this is weird. I was like, we only comment on each other's shit.
Cause I
and,
was like, I can't function.
Right.
Like I can't function.
Right.
And so you didn't have that. So I can't imagine like,
something told me too when I
not
read your
having
message
that.
to just stop what I was doing and call you. Cause I was in the middle of work, and where I work, well, in that office, my desk was literally in the middle of all of these doctor's offices, exam rooms. And I was like, you need to call her.
Yeah.
And I just called you right away. And I was like, holy shit. Called you right away. And I was like, holy shit. So
and it, you know, it was a life-changing moment
Right.
because it, like you said, it was like a bond that
yeah.
couldn't be broken. And
No.
knowing that it helped you also
Yeah.
gives me like so much life because I thought that you were helping me. And like, I remember one day you were like, you helped me too. And I was like, whoa. And then I'd start getting messages
Yep.
and me and you would talk about it, how people would reach out to us and be like, one person told me I saved their life by sharing this story. Other people were
Yeah.
like, you helped me with this person. Or like, we were starting to get people that we were like helping by talking about
Yep.
this. And, you know, you
Being open and yeah.
the time you put into like being there for me was, I don't have words for it. You would always drop whatever, you know, you would check on me. Meanwhile, you're dealing with your own life and children and jobs. And so it's like, you know, and again, a lot of people did that, but it was like you understood and
Yeah.
You know, obviously I can never say thank you enough. You know how I feel about it,
Yeah.
but
But I
it's
feel like you've helped me the same too, so we're even.
right. Okay, fine.
Yeah.
Even Stevens.
Yeah.
That's so funny.
Dark
Yeah.
humor, but
Yeah,
like,
but
yeah,
that's
so
the
that's
other-
why
yeah.
we share our stories and hope
Exactly.
that it does reach
Yeah.
somebody. And
Right.
I used to tell people like, hey, I can't save everyone. I
Right.
can't be there for everyone,
Mhm.
but like if you need resources or something, like I can try to give you resources or help you, but like
Yeah.
the responsibility can't be on everybody else.
Right.
You have to say, I am
Yeah.
taking charge of my life and myself
Yeah.
Yeah.
and my mental health, and I'm going to fix this. And you're capable of doing that, and you got this. Don't
Yeah.
wait for other people. Like, you know, when people say check on your friends,
Yeah.
I am for that. Do that.
100%.
Everybody should do
Yeah.
that. But if somebody's not checking on you,
Right.
do it yourself. You got
Yeah.
this. Go get the
Do it
help.
yourself. Yeah.
Do not
100%.
wait
I'm
for
like
them to check on
50-50
you.
with the check on your friends thing.
I
Only
know.
because even though you do check on some
Right.
people, if they
Yeah.
want to go,
There
they
you go.
do it.
There you go.
Exactly.
So
It has to be yourself.
yes,
like,
check on them, but at the same time,
Yeah.
That's
don't
what
blame yourself if it
Yep,
happens.
I 100% am very big advocate on the person being accountable. And I understand there's
Yeah.
mental illness
Right,
involved. If somebody is
100%.
severely mental ill, schizophrenic, like they're not in reality.
Right.
I understand that
Right.
those instances do happen, but a lot
Right.
of times the people are not.
Right.
People go, I would have never guessed that this
Yeah.
like they were going to do this, or they were happy,
Yeah.
they were in track, they
Yeah.
did this, they did that, they were involved in their church. Like there are people that have a seemingly normal life that do this.
I'm pretty sure
Yeah.
I'm looking it up right now. That people that are schizophrenic, it literally only makes up like 1% of the entire population.
Right. So it's
So-
like, you know, I understand. I have to make it clear to people. I understand that there are some instances where mental illness plays a part and there's nothing that anybody can do, including that person, especially if you're having delusions or, you know,
Yeah.
whatever's going on. And I'm sure not unpopular opinion, but I do think there's people that will meet that with resistance because I did, which is, you know, find God. I
Yeah.
feel strongly about that.
Me too.
Before I didn't understand that I was angry at God. I was like,
Right.
no, there's no way God would let this
Right.
happen. Now I have a
Exactly.
whole different
Yeah.
understanding. But, you know, if you haven't explored that option, consider it.
Right.
It could help you.
Yeah.
You know,
And it's like,
not saying you have to, and there's people that might say, oh, I would never, but
right. Like,
Just
and
throwing
if
it out
that's
there.
not what you want to believe in, like, then, okay, I'm not asking you to believe in it. I'm just asking you to look.
right.
Like, I
Yeah.
literally, like,
Try.
like if you want to start with the universe, which I feel like we all kind
I
of start
did
with
that.
the universe, like, if you want to start there, cool. But like, I'm not asking you to go and become like this crazy evangelical Christian that, like, you know,
Faith.
like,
Faith
yeah,
in
I'm
general.
literally just
Having
asking you to look.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah. And I,
He's the only thing that fills the void, right? Because everything else that's earthly, we're not meant for.
We can't do it alone.
That's why, yeah.
yeah, 100%. And I did look up the statistics. It says approximately 0.25 to 0.64% of the global population.
Wow.
So it's a very small amount of people. So that just like kind of like backs up the fact that like those people are not in reality, and those people have
Right.
severe mental health issues. It's not most people.
Right.
Most
That's what we're not
people that
talking
are
about. The
ending their
majority
life
is not
aren't
that.
dealing with that specific thing.
Yeah.
So it's like, you know, I understand that it's difficult, but also one of my favorite things and something that genuinely did help me so much, especially when I was dealing with like abusive relationships, and then I would have those like feelings start to resurface, because once you know, then you can't ever not, like, the thought will always like be there, but it's not like an option. It's just like, you know that it's there, right? So one of my favorite things that have actually helped me so much is there's something called the 90-second rule. So your body, the physical reaction to an emotion, can only last for 90 seconds before your body has to give yourself a break. So like that tightness, like aside from a heart attack or something,
Yeah.
like that tightness in your chest, the lump in your throat, the everything like that. After 90 seconds, your body has to give you a second of reprieve.
Oh.
So if you can wait 90 seconds, breathe, Just wait 90 seconds and then your body will give you like a slight release. You might tense right back up after and start crying again, but after 90 seconds you will get a break. Like it's like this
even
weird,
if it's slight, but if you
Yeah.
know that that's a thing,
Yeah.
you might be able to tell yourself, okay, I need to give myself a second.
Right.
I'm unhinged right now.
Yeah.
I need to start breathing. I need to
Yeah.
think like, and I can't stress this enough. And I know, Lena, you can agree, adding in
Yeah.
substances is not going to help you. It
No.
is going to exasperate the situation. You may
Exactly.
think it's going to numb the situation, but it's not going to. It's
Yeah.
really not going
No.
to. And we know, because like you said, you're like, oh, he must have been drinking, or like everybody is like, okay, adding that in is very common. A lot of times the person was
Yeah.
drinking or on drugs, or you know, I saw the thing on, I just saw, I think it happened last year, Sister Wives, Janelle, I think her name is, her son Garrison committed
God.
suicide, but he had a drinking problem, and he had said that night he was super drunk, and everybody was like, here we go again. And then
Yeah.
they said, go check on him. And, you know, he took his life. And it's like, those
Yeah.
things are going to muddle your thought process on
Right.
doing something very
Yep.
permanent.
Right.
So really don't.
And Colin was drinking too. He probably had a 30-pack to himself that day.
Oh my gosh.
Yep. See?
But the last person that saw him was his mom, right? Because he called her to go talk to him and, I don't know, talk about her marriage or whatever. And she even said that he didn't seem that wasted. He was coherent. He was talking normal. He wasn't slurring. He wasn't falling over. He seemed like maybe he had had a few, but otherwise he seemed pretty normal, she said. So,
Right.
Well, and I don't think
I don't
the
know.
drinking had played a part in him doing it. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like I think that
Yeah.
it will exasperate your problems.
Yeah.
It does not solve your problems.
Well, I think that
No.
it doesn't numb the pain. It numbs your ability to process it.
Right.
Like it affects your
Yes,
processing.
yes.
It doesn't affect the actual pain, but because you're
just
not
makes
able
you not
to
give a
process
shit, right?
exactly.
Yeah.
It's like you're like, oh, it doesn't fucking matter, blah 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 blah. But that's just because all the substances that you're using is literally stopping you from caring.
Right.
And you should care.
Yep.
That is like a survival mechanism. Like the reason your body's like care about these things is because it's affecting your brain.
Oh,
and
100%.
your brain is
Yeah.
signaling care. And when you're like, nah, I'm like, but you need to like, please, like,
Yes.
please.
You need, humans have the natural ability and will to like live or survive. Like when we go into survival mode.
Yeah.
So if
Right.
you're ever feeling like that, you don't have that will, then
Right.
there's something that you need to address.
Something's
Right.
wrong.
There's
Right.
something that's
Yeah.
blocking that
Whether
feeling.
you be 12, I don't care if you're 12, 13, 14, you know, and that's the problem is those kids don't realize the magnitude,
Right.
the severity, the permanent.
The finality
The
of it.
finality.
It's final. It's a
Exactly.
final thing.
Yeah. It's like done. And I understand like, oh, I want to be done. I totally get that. But like, you want to be done with this situation. You want
Or
to
that
be done with this
moment. Yeah.
You want to be done with this
Not your life.
problem. Right.
And their brains aren't even all the way formed yet. So,
Exactly.
you know, like
You know, so it's just like really sad.
their life, they don't picture the future and,
Right.
you know, the effect it has on everybody.
Do you think that, odd question, but do you think that suicide is somewhat glorified in certain ways?
100%.
I do too.
I feel like it's in all TV shows,
Yeah.
movies. I mean, it started with a 13 Reasons Why show, and don't get me wrong, I watched it.
No,
but
I watched that
it's,
and
you
it
know,
literally traumatized me.
glorifies it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that
Kids,
we're
I think,
glorifying the
shouldn't know
wrong
that that's an option.
fucking
Right.
shit. Like I'm so
Exactly.
tired
Yeah.
of it.
Right.
Like if that's not the devil, man, it's glorifying. We're glorifying sex,
100%.
suicide, drugs, alcohol, like all sorts of things that are
Right.
destroying people, destroying families.
Right.
Like that needs to stop. Suicide is
Right.
not.
That is the devil.
Oh, 100%. Like
He runs the earth.
Yeah.
yeah, and it's like people are falling for it. It's like
Yeah.
I did,
Yep.
I do feel like suicide was glorified for a while, and that's why I say
I
put the
do.
accountability back on the
Right.
person that's doing it.
Well, I mean, in Canada, you
Yeah.
sent me those articles. Well, now
Oh
they're
my
doing,
God,
like,
they're
medically
doing assisted suicide, and it originated for people that were elderly and on hospice or like literally in their last week of
Right.
like life, and they wanted to go
Right.
like
Yeah.
nicely and peacefully, which I still don't think that's up to God. But
No.
hey, that's what it started with. Then it turned into now you can be underage. You could be a teen that's battling depression and decide that you want to take your life, but do it humanely. What?
That's
We're not
insane.
dogs.
You can't
Insane.
take a child's
No.
life humanely.
And that there was a stipulation where parents' approval
Yeah.
was not needed.
Right. Which is
Are you
insane.
shitting me? That's murder.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely murder, because what do you mean? Like, a child, their brain, like, your brain isn't even developed until you're 25.
No,
Like,
it's
so-
not. My daughter gets pissed off if her mascara doesn't work
Right. Exactly.
Right.
And I
It's,
even
you
think
know,
for
their
adults,
brains
this
don't
is not
work.
okay.
Yeah.
Like, I'm
No.
sorry. For adults, this is like, again, glorifying finding a means to an end.
Right.
And again, it originated for people that were, terminally ill. And even still, we don't need to play God, you know?
Right.
And,
Yeah.
and they're saying, well, they were going to be in pain for their last days and they didn't want to be through the pain and this and that. But again, that's not up to us.
Right.
Right.
Of course, nobody wants to see their family member suffer. Nobody wants to
Right.
suffer themselves.
Exactly. Like,
But it's like, where does the line get drawn?
Right.
Where does it now become,
Yeah.
Kevorkian and become like some kind of weird assisted suicide? Like,
Yeah.
they're like, who's going to decide where it's like, oh no, that's too far. You've gone too far now.
right. Yeah.
You know,
Exactly.
oh, you're not terminally ill enough. Like,
Right.
no, we can't play God. Sorry.
Yeah.
No. And I
No.
And I think that.
And how do you
it's
even
just
get in
not-
that position? Like, oh, I'm the one in charge of if your case is worthy of
Right.
dying or
Is there
not.
somebody
Right.
exactly? Is there like a
Who gave
review
you that
period?
title?
Like,
Right.
okay, you're
Right.
qualified, you're not.
Right. And then
You
and
must
that's like-
survive.
yeah. It's like, ooh, I don't think your insurance is going to cover you dying
Yeah.
today. So we're not
Sorry,
gonna be
you
able
have
do
to
that for
continue
you.
to live.
And then it's likely that person's just going to go kill themselves. Like, it's like, what's humanely about it?
Right.
Like, it's like the
It's
last
disturbing.
thing. Yeah. It's not. I just feel like it's like stuff like that
Yeah.
because I do feel like in society it is very much glorified because like even
Yeah.
like the like dying a warrior's death, like, like live by the sword, die by the sword. Like, like it's better to like throw yourself on the sword than to bring shame
Well, that's
to your
what I
family.
said about David.
Like,
I said, I think he wanted to be like, I did this. I was in control of my fate.
Right.
Motherfucker, nobody's going to tell me what's up. Like,
Yeah.
I did this and wanted us to
Right.
see it. Like, I chose
Yeah.
this in a
Right.
way. Like you said, kind of
Yeah.
like that. Like,
loss of control. Like that.
yeah,
sense
like
of,
this is not
Yeah.
anybody else's choice. I'm taking that control away from anybody else, including,
Right.
God. Like,
right. Exactly. Like, cause you just put yourself in that position, but like, I mean, man, you just got to surrender. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that's,
Yeah.
that I think is like the biggest part of it. And like, this is from like, and I've had periods of time where like, I've always believed in God, but like obviously I don't go to church and stuff. I've had like lots of church hurt and stuff, but like if it literally weren't for my relationship with God, then I don't think that I could have healed. Like I don't think
Yeah.
because you it's like indescribable, like, but you'll know, you'll feel it, you'll
Yeah.
understand, like it's this thing that like you discover that God is actually within you, and whenever you discover that part, it's like, oh wait, you will never leave me or forsake me,
Right.
you will never do, like you
Right.
have been here the whole time.
now,
like
not to say that we have to address that
Right.
anybody who's, surrendered or with God or
Right.
has faith is not capable of suicide.
Right, yeah.
I'm sure they are, but I do feel like when they get to that point, they are lost and have lost
Right.
that connection with God, because
100%.
you wouldn't feel helpless
Right.
because you would know that
Right.
he's there.
Right.
So
Right.
that leads me to my next question. And again, if there's anything you're like, I don't want to answer that, please feel free not to. But did Colin have a relationship with God, or
Yeah.
he did?
He did.
Yeah.
When we were first married, we were going to church all the time. And then it slows down.
Of course.
'cause, you know,
It happens. Yeah.
it gets repetitive or the pastor changes and it's just not the right,
Right.
connection or whatever the reason. Because his parents are extremely religious. I go to her now when I'm like, help me understand this from a biblical point of view. And she can drop a Bible verse, like,
Right.
whatever you need, it comes out of her.
That's
Yeah.
Tessa.
Oh my gosh. Not,
Right.
I don't
And
always
we
get the numbers right, but-
I mean, we would pray over dinner. The kids would pray over dinner, but we just didn't go to church.
Right.
And then the drinking took over,
Mm-hmm.
and then it, because
Yeah.
we were evicted and whatever. But at the time, no, we were not actively in a church.
Yeah. Well,
Which
I mean,
again, I
we were
don't
so
feel like
far from
didn't
church
go to
is,
church.
yeah,
You know what I
that,
mean?
you know,
Jesus
I,
actually like actively was like flipping tables in
yeah,
in
I don't
synagogues
feel
and,
like
so
that
it's not,
is
yeah.
necessary. But do you feel like he had lost a little connection?
Yes,
Yeah.
we were very far from God because I mean, I don't
Okay.
think that you have to go to church to be a Christian.
100%.
I feel like if you talk to God in your head, I mean, I don't even pray out loud all the time. I don't
Oh,
open my Bible as
100%.
much as I
Yeah.
should, but and there are some days where I even forget to thank God for waking me up,
Right.
but I don't feel like that takes me far away from him.
No.
Right.
Because you don't have to go to church to be
No.
Right.
religious. You just
Exactly.
believe and
Right.
We
You
do our
know?
best,
Yeah.
Like my alarm, I set my alarm with thank Jesus for another day. So I can see that and
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
remind myself because we do. We
Right.
get busy with life. We
Right.
get busy with kids and work. And I haven't read my
Yeah.
Bible in like maybe even like
Yeah.
weeks
Right.
with this podcast and all our businesses.
Yeah.
And I'm like, whoa. And I do
Yeah.
feel it sometimes when I don't, which is interesting. I'm like,
Yeah.
something's off. And I'm like, oh, I haven't really been like
In-
practicing, I guess,
right.
if you want to call it,
Yeah.
or, and I'm
Yeah.
not saying, like you said, you don't have to go to church every day. You don't have to like,
No.
I don't believe
Sometimes
that,
the
but
only prayer that I have is God hear me,
Yeah.
like God look in my heart because you know
Right.
what I'm trying to express and I don't have the words for it. So just, like he could see our hearts, our minds, all of it.
Yeah.
And that's literally all I say sometimes is God hear me. That's it.
Right. And
which
then,
I love that. That
me
should be a
too,
shirt.
because
God
it
hear
should.
me.
It really should. And then also like my favorite part of like, because I just love God so much. My favorite part is like after you start to like do these prayers and like have these things, whatever, like it's incredible because you literally start to see God in places that you never thought you would, like literally in like the breeze, like you're having a moment, you're like, God, I need a sign, like blah blah blah, and then all of a sudden the wind will start like
Yeah.
or like just like little
Yeah.
stuff. Like actually like one of the craziest things that ever happened to me, well not no but I like to say that about
Not the
everything.
crazy. Yeah.
I was praying and I said out loud, like I was like, God, the only thing that I've ever truly desired is to be loved for exactly who I am. And this was at like 2 a.m, like crazy, like I'm just crying, right? All of a sudden, out of nowhere, I got a text message and it just said, me too.
Whoa.
Swear. And it was like, I wasn't having a conversation with someone. It wasn't anything like that. It was someone that responded to a text message that I had sent days ago.
Wow.
And I was like,
Wow.
because my phone was on my chest, and the second I said that, it goes bzz, bzz, and I go, and I threw
Like you
my
needed to
phone,
hear that,
and I
yeah.
was like, God, wait, I don't need you to be that direct. I was like, please, like that scared me, like. But it is those things, like it's like you start to
See time.
understand, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's just one of those things. I like how like I think it's like kind of cool how like a lot of these conversations like
End
really
up
do lead
talking
back to
about
God.
God.
Yeah, like
We don't even mean to. Like we're not
No.
like based on.
no,
oh,
this
we're
isn't a religious podcast. like
But
No, we were just cussing 1 second.
oh
and
yeah,
talking
that's
about
I
God.
just
We're
talked about that.
real,
Oh, on what was that
No.
the last? No, 2 episodes ago. I was
Yeah.
like, I curse all like that's a
Right.
big problem of mine, and I struggle with that, and I admit
Exactly.
that I
Mine
struggle
too.
with that, and I
Yeah.
like it's bad. Like it's like second nature to me, and it's such
Yeah.
a habit that's like so hard to break. But I do try to
But we're
like
human,
recognize it. Yeah.
know?
right.
Oh yeah, we're human. Everybody sins. We understand
Right.
that, but we're
I always say if we were perfect, we wouldn't need God.
exactly
So
free
that's
will.
why we're imperfect.
Yep.
Because we need him.
Yep.
Exactly.
We are at time.
Yeah.
So we can start wrapping it up. I am so grateful for you, and I am so happy. I know I'm like looking at you, and I feel like you could be like, you're forgetting you can't see us.
We're being so sincere.
I know I can't see you.
I don't know if I'm really hoping that I did this right
I'm like,
because my husband wasn't here, and normally he sets this all up. So for all I know, nothing's recording, and
Oh, well. Well, what I
no.
can say is this
The
is
little
for sure
thing still
recorded.
says
it is
recording.
it says
Yeah.
recording.
so I
Okay,
think it's good.
Shit,
That's
man.
for sure.
Really
But-
quick though, before we
no.
end,
What? Yes, I was
I
going to
think
say
that-
whatever you want to end on or say.
Well, I think that we need to make a T-shirt with your 90 seconds thing.
Yeah.
Like
That is
that
really
needs
cool.
to be
Yeah.
as well known as the 988 number, like just somebody knowing like, okay, I'm feeling this right this minute.
Right.
Let me give myself 90 seconds. And if I feel the same way, then maybe I should call somebody
Right.
or whatever
Yeah.
the next step may be.
Yeah.
But that needs to be blown up. Like, just give yourself 90 seconds.
Yeah.
I'm going to do that
Even
for the
if
rest
it's
of my
just a
life when I'm
shirt,
really
even if
upset,
it's a
you
shirt
know?
that just says like
90
seconds.
seconds.
Nobody steal our idea. It's already taken by
TM.
It's and then we explain what that means. Kind of like
Right.
the semicolon.
Yeah.
Like people know what that means.
Right,
It's
right.
like
Yeah.
it's that, and what was the other thing we said?
About what?
I was like, that should be a shirt too. Oh, what Lena said, the God hear me.
Yeah.
Love that also.
Yeah.
Love that also.
Yeah. Just hear me.
Just hear me.
Yeah.
Like,
No,
even
I
if you
agree.
are in that dark moment, if you're sitting there and you're like, God, just
Yeah.
hear me. Like,
Yeah. No, 'cause
that
Yeah.
could change everything for you.
it's literally saved my
Yeah.
life. Yeah. So like that's why like I'm such a huge advocate of that. And like especially people when they start talking about their mental health, I'm like pause, breathe.
Well, let's
like, you know.
let's all discuss after,
Mm-hmm.
not today, because I have to see where my children are. I'm sure you do too. But let's all collab on.
Oh, yeah. We have kids.
Let's all collab on
Not
this
me. No,
shirt.
sorry. My cats. My
Yeah.
cats. No, like
I think we should, because obviously we have an apparel line, so I have like
Yeah.
the means to
Yeah.
do this.
What? You're telling me
Yeah,
that
we
the
should.
hat that you're wearing and the shirt that you're
I
wearing
mean,
are
not
from
that
your
we're.
own
I'm
apparel
not
line?
wearing a Counterculture Ink Threads hat, shirt, and just saying. Thought I'd plug my company, but
Yeah.
In the rush of getting ready this morning, because
I was
normally wear
staring at that
scrubs.
this
No,
whole
me
time.
Too. I'm like, what a perfect shirt to
Yeah,
be wearing.
and I didn't put it on purpose with the intention of doing the show wearing the shirt. I just
Which
got
is-
dressed this morning, and when I
there you
looked in the
go.
mirror, I was like, "Holy shit!"
There you go.
So
There you go. It
I
was.
supposed to
I've
wear
told
it.
you multiple times with all your. You know how you said your son said. I feel like it follows us. Suicide. You're
Yeah.
here for a reason. You survived for a reason.
Yeah.
I survived for a reason, because I still think about the fact that I could be dead.
Right.
It could have been a suicide murder. And like,
Yeah.
so I
Yeah.
think, or murder suicide. I think that we were here to share our stories, spread this awareness, but not only on suicide, but you know, if you do have to go through it and it's out of your control and it happens, there's light at the end of the tunnel.
Right.
Yeah,
So,
you will be okay.
it will be okay.
Yeah, it will.
So with that being said, we will, I guess, end it there.
Yeah. I feel like that's like a great little
Okay.
thing to end it on. But yeah, thank you so much for sharing your story.
I know. Thank you. I know it's hard. And
Thanks for bringing me on. I hope I don't look weird in the very
No, you
beginning.
look very
'cause
beautiful.
I don't know what to look at.
No,
looking
you're
at
fine.
myself, I
Yeah.
feel
I
weird.
know. Like I said, I don't know what I did. I thought you could see us, but I mean,
For a second, I could, and then you disappeared.
Yeah.
oh,
Oh yeah, no, like the whole time, like I'm like, oh my god, she's so pretty.
she is.
Like,
She's
so-
beautiful
Like-
inside and out.
Yeah.
And so is her children. Like, I can't. So,
They are good kids.
they are like the fact that her son wants to like go out there and spread awareness for suicide and for
Right.
helping people
Yeah.
after going through something, instead of being like, woe is me.
Yeah.
Why did I have to go through this? He's like,
Right.
what can I do to help others?
Right.
There
He
you
did
go.
though in the beginning.
Yeah.
He was really pissed off in the beginning.
That's okay. And that's what we want people
Yeah.
to know is you're gonna be
Yeah.
going through that. And we all did,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
he's turning
Oh,
it
yeah.
around
Yeah.
and he still probably
Yeah.
goes through it and probably has
at a
angry
young
nights.
age too.
Yeah. There's life after.
Yes.
That's the important.
But like you said, it's important to know that I'm sure he still does struggle
Yeah.
and have pain.
Yeah.
And oh, my son
like,
is
what
awake.
is
I thought
it?
he was crying. Oh Lord. See, we keep it raw. Like we always say, we keep it raw around here. Nothing's edited out. Like we'll probably have to edit out when we're trying to figure this
No,
out.
yeah. Probably that part.
Okay.
I mean, your title explains it. So if people don't understand,
Oh, yeah,
that,
it's
then
super
they just
unfiltered.
need to look at your title.
yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.
Exactly.
So again, thank you so much for coming on and
Of course.
being part of this. I think we could probably do like 10 parts on this. Like
No,
I still want to
literally.
hear more
Yeah.
about
Yeah.
We
like
could.
your story. Like there's
Oh,
just
yeah.
too much.
There's so
But
much,
we
yeah.
can hey,
We can always
we could talk
do.
about it the next episode.
Yeah, we can do
we can do
whatever
what
we
we
want.
want. That's the greatest part about it.
Yeah.
It's our podcast.
It's also like therapy, being able to talk about it and get it out.
Yeah.
And I feel lighter after this conversation
Good.
for sure.
Well,
Exactly.
that's I love that. So, all right. Well, I love you, and I'm sure
I
we'll
love you
talk
too.
anyways. So,
absolutely.
thank
Okay.
you.
So nice to meet you.
All right.
Okay.
Nice to meet you. I'm sure we'll meet in person one
Yeah,
day.
we're gonna have a famous shirt that's going to save lives, and half the
Yeah.
money is going to go to suicide loss
Yeah.
survivors and
100%.
suicide awareness.
Yeah, like the families of the survivors, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That would
Yeah.
be, yeah.
So, all right. Well, we'll discuss. We'll have a business meeting.
Yeah, no, literally.
All right. Bye.
Bye.
Okay. Well, we're good. So,
Yeah. So final thoughts.
I feel like I sweat after episodes like this. I'm like, we're recording. Okay. Hi, everybody.
Here I'm about to literally put my heart out on a platter. Don't
Right.
stab it.
Right.
Like,
And then it all comes back. Like my
No,
body,
literally.
like the numbness, like goes away and feeling comes back.
No,
and then
I
I'm like,
literally think sometimes I black out. I don't know
I know.
anything that I said.
I know.
It just comes to me. I'm like a prophet. No, I'm not gonna say that because then people are just gonna start following me like a cult.
No. Oh
No,
my
I'm
God.
like,
no.
no.
Don't follow us. We're not the ones you want to follow.
No, literally, please follow God, not me. Because like half the time, like I literally need Google Maps for everything. So like following me is not even gonna be like a good idea.
I can't.
I'm just saying.
All
Like,
right. Well, share,
Yeah.
like,
share,
follow,
like, follow, comment. You know,
Just watch us.
yeah. Watch us and watch
Make us
yourself.
feel
No, I'm just kidding.
special.
Yeah, please. It would be really nice. Like I would really like if you like really just like made us feel good about ourselves.
Yeah, that's all that we really care about.
Yeah.
Oh,
like,
are we being sarcastic? I can't.
I don't know. Sometimes.
And this is where the unhinged
Right.
comes in.
Like this is like well,
literally the part where
it's like not that
it
I
all
need your
falls apart.
validation, but I do like when my friends are nice to me. So
I
you know,
mean, yeah,
I don't need it.
I
but
just like when
I like it.
everybody's nice to us.
Yeah, I do prefer that. But yeah, so be nice to us, please.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
In the shadows, I found my light. In the chaos, I found